Today's lesson is going to be a review of creating a table from an equation, plotting the points from the table, and doing our domain range, x and y intercepts, and mins and maxes. We're doing this review so that we can start learning about transformations of absolute value functions. So we're first going to start with our equation up here. We are going to take what f of x equals, that's the absolute value of x. And that is, the x value is -4. The absolute value of -4 is 4. Now we're going to do the next one. The absolute value of -3, that's 3, because remember the absolute value is just the distance that that number is from 0. So as we go through this, we keep doing the same thing, plugging the x value in. Absolute value of -2 is 2. I'm going to go ahead and do this quickly. I'm going to put all the answers up here so you can see them at the same time. So there you go. That's the table filled out. Every time you start a table, I want to encourage you. Sorry about that. I just threw that at you. I want you to do this piece where you substitute the x in, because once you put that in there, it tells you what you need to do. Okay? Now remember that we get ordered pairs from the table. So -4, 4 is my first ordered pair. So I'm going to go plot that point. Actually, let's do purple because that green's not showing up very well. Okay, -3, 3 is my next ordered pair. -2, 2 is my next ordered pair. So are you starting to see how this works? The table is our list of ordered pairs. So when we get all those plotted, we need to think about, okay, do I connect these points or not? I plotted points from a table, but we got that table from an equation. Anytime you are graphing an equation, unless it gives you restrictions, we want to go ahead and connect those dots. Alright? Even though we have specific points in our table, we were choosing what numbers to put into our table. So the graph itself represents all possible points we could put in there. Now since it didn't tell us where to stop or start, we're going to use arrows on the ends. That's going to make a difference to what our domain and range is. Alright? So now that we have our graph, let's do our domain and range. Now we talk about the domain being the x values. Okay. So I'm looking for the left and right side of my box. But if I draw the left side of my box here, that arrow, it's going to shoot through my box. So I don't want to put an arrow there. Same thing on the right side, it's got an arrow on the end of the line, it's going to shoot through my box, so I don't want to put a line there either. Remember, when we don't have left and right sides of our boxes, that tells me that I've got negative infinity to the left and positive infinity to the right. We don't put lines underneath our inequality signs because we cannot put a point on infinity. Okay? Alright, so there's our domain. Now we're going to do our range. I've got the bottom of my box, and when I go to draw the top of my box, what happens? The arrows are going to go through it, isn't it? So I'm not going to draw a top. My range looks at my y values. The bottom of my box is going through 0 on the x-axis. I'm sorry, on the y-axis. That is an actual point on my graph, so I'm going to put a line underneath that inequality. I don't have the top of my box up here, so that tells me this is going to be positive infinity. And because it is positive infinity, I am not going to put a line under that inequality. So there's my domain and my range. Oops. Okay. Now I need to find my... So an x-intercept is where the graph intersects the x-axis. So my x-axis is highlighted in yellow, and my graph is touching it. Oops, sorry about that. I was still on eraser. My graph touches the x-axis right there at 0, 0. Now remember, I am requesting that you all give me x and y intercepts as ordered pairs. The y-intercept is where the graph touches the y-axis. So I'm going to highlight my y-axis in yellow. And again, it's touching right there at 0, 0. Alright, so for the min and the max, think about the minimum and the maximum are the bottom and the top of your graph. We'll think range. Range, you draw the bottom and the top of your box. So our min and max are going to be y equal numbers. Okay, so my minimum is going through y equals 0. My maximum, oh wait, I don't have a maximum. I didn't have a top to my box, did I? I didn't have a top to my box, so instead of a y equals, we have no or none. What is the maximum? We have none. We have no maximum. I always get confused whether we should put no or none. Alright, so that is what I want you doing on all of these problems. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move this up, and I am going to give you a new picture, and we will start the second one, and then I'll give you the assignment. Okay, here's problem number 2. I'm just going to get you started on it. Now remember, you need to do your 6 characteristics over to the right. So let's just make sure that we understand how to plug these numbers into the equation and go from there. So I have x, which is -4, and then plus 3, and that plus 3 is coming from right here. Okay, so all I've done is plug the -4 into the x value of the equation. So this is -4 plus 3, which equals -1, but I still need to take the absolute value of -1. The absolute value of -1 is +1. Okay, so again, you are going to plug in your x value, bring down the rest of the equation. -3 plus 3 gives us 0, and the absolute value of 0 is 0. So follow your order of operations. And then you're going to come over, you're going to look at your ordered pairs, you are going to graph them on the graph, and then from the graph you're going to do your domain, range, y-intercept, x-intercept, min and max. So your assignment is to finish number 2 and do number 3.